Fit for Life Radio. We're here with Benjamin Lengel, special guest.
AKA Coach Ben.
Coach Ben. This is exercise. This is episode number 178.
200's coming up.
Yup. And Coach Ben is also an NKT practitioner, NeuroKinetic Therapy.
Yeah.
And husband.
Yep.
Stepfather.
Lover.
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 And PDGA, Professional Disc Golf Association Pro.
Yes.
Damn.
Is that everything?
I feel good about that. Yeah.
That made me feel worse about myself.
I was gonna say if we keep going down that list, it might even out.
Because I don't have a pro.
Yeah.
I'm not a pro at anything.
Yeah.
At all. That's all right, man.
How you doing?
Doing great. Glad to be back.
So if you've been listening for a long time, then you remember Ben was on the podcast at the very beginning.
When we were in Austin, Texas,
Bro.
Yeah.
we filmed some episodes.
Arguably,
Yeah.
two of my favorite episodes we've ever done. We're drunk in a hotel room with some Deep Eddy's vodka and some bourbon.
This took us from like 8 listeners to like 18 listeners.
Yeah, that was prime, man. That was a good time.
It was like the moment you knew we had something, right?
This
Yeah,
was
we got a little
episode 4 and 5.
Oh my god.
It was After Hours Part 1 and After Hours Part 2.
That kind of makes it sound a little bit.
exactly how it went.
Yeah, I guess
right?
exactly how it went. That was good.
Yes.
I'm surprised it didn't get worse than it did, but that was a good time. So if you haven't listened to it, that's a good opportunity to take a
Catch
step
up.
back in time.
See where we've come from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to catch it up. We're going to dive into Ben's world.
What makes Ben
Yeah.
tick?
What makes Ben tick? So he's fresh off a
Oh,
PDGA
you.
victory
Yeah, it's
at the
Tour de Richmond.
Tour de Richmond
Yeah.
presented by Play It Again Sports. Oh, they got big sponsors
Oh
now.
yeah,
bro.
they're fishing out for those.
Play It Again Sports. Winner prize, $600.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's real pro.
Yeah.
Win that money, baby. How many people were there?
In the pro division, there was 23. There was like 144 or something.
Amateurs.
Total. Yeah, they were all.
Amateurs, man.
all
So
there.
one thing I have
Watching.
to know is, how does this rating system work?
Yeah, so this is actually
Like your current rating is 979. Is higher better or is lower better?
higher's better.
Oh.
You got a +8.
So yeah, last time
Is
it was,
that like your
it was
handicap?
971. It's like your handicap. It tells everybody kind of what you shoot.
Okay.
And so if you know, to keep it baseline, there's 10 people at an event. They're all 1,000 rated, which is pretty high. It's a good pro rating. If they all shot even par, then even par is at a 1,000 rated round. That's how they. It's almost self-regulating that way. So then, let's say somebody comes in, and they shot -1. It would probably be a 1,010 rated round based on.
So it's weird because lately, like, you play way under par, but your overall rating is right above par. So did you have a stretch where you were just?
Yes. Yeah, that first tournament of the year, the L'Oriella, at L'Oriella Park, that one I was in like 43rd place or something. Averaged like 944 rated or something. It was quite low. I didn't cash. Yeah, you won't cash with 940s.
So okay, that makes sense. So I got that. So
Yeah.
what the other question I have is, what is the difference of tiers?
This is actually really fun too, because it's like the one I want, a B tier, that is a pretty good standard, an event that's going to draw a decent amount of people, because in order to qualify as a B tier, you got to add $750 to the pro purse. In order to call it an A tier, you got to add $3,000 to the pro purse.
Wait, like you're paying?
No, like sponsors
Oh,
or
I see.
the club or something puts that toward
Got it.
to
To sponsor you. Yeah,
incentivize pros to come from all over the place.
So you just need a sponsor like Coastal Strength and Fitness?
Yeah, like head it up, like donate to that, and then all of a
We
sudden
could make you.
elevate.
You're saying we could make you A tier, right now?
Well,
Like they can bring you up a whole notch.
Well, the tournaments have the tiers.
Let's look at this as an investment, okay?
Yeah. See, you know, and I mean,
you get a tattoo on your forearm.
Nobody come burn me
Is
at
it
the
like
stake, but
NASCAR?
I don't know if I don't know if disc golf's the thing to invest in like that for
How many
immediate
clients
returns.
do you think we would get if you have a Coastal Strength and Fitness patch on your shirt?
Well, I gotta play more events. We gotta play more events around here. You know, that's the thing too. Like,
Dude.
I've thought about that. And Newport News isn't hopping for disc golf.
Can I tell you something? Newport News isn't hopping for anything.
You know where I feel like
It's just not.
You know where I feel like is hopping for disc golf because I see it.
Yeah.
It's like why is everyone from like Fredericksburg? And
It is. No, yeah,
Because there's nothing to do in Fredericksburg, bro.
No, yeah, and they have a few really nice courses. And so, yeah, you turn that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true.
So speaking of sponsorship, I was watching. There's this show on Netflix, like some collectible show. So this big, I guess it's like raging now. I'm pissed for giving away all my baseball cards, but
It's work.
yeah,
It's work, bro.
this company collectible show, and they were with what's his name? He's like a wannabe boxer, Logan Paul.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess he's big. Dude, he has the most valuable card basically on the planet. This it's actually a Pokemon card.
Wow.
And it's $5 million. And he had it into this necklace, this like encased like gold necklace.
I remember that.
And I'm like, dude, he's walking around with $5 million. It's kind of
It's
kind of a flex.
It's
but,
both. It's both, right?
and
Like,
anyways, they're
badass.
opening
Is
these
that
Pokemon,
card?
packs and stuff. But now I forgot where I was going with this.
I don't know, this
He's
collectible
at-
show with
yeah,
Pokemon.
he's at-
Yeah,
packs.
exactly.
Nah, I was going
He's-
somewhere. So,
He's putting it out there. He's
what were
showing
we talking
everybody.
about?
Well, we were talking about tiers, sponsorship.
Oh, sponsorship.
There it
So
is.
then they're opening these packs like on the camera, like that people paid for, but I guess they wanted him to open them. You know,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
in live stream.
Reveal, yeah.
And there's this dude. He had his like I don't know lawn care company or something, and these packs are expensive. You get these boxes that haven't been opened in a while, and he used his whole. He's like, this is my whole year's marketing budget for this pack. And yeah, and he didn't hit on nothing.
Bro, it's gambling, bro.
I know.
So instead of Facebook ads,
I know.
what
You're
we
doing
should
better off
do-
playing slots with that money.
The only thing he can hope for is now like people in his local area saw that on Netflix,
And we're like, we better give this dude some money.
and
I
hire
love
him.
Logan Paul, and now
Oh,
I'm
God.
But it's wild, dude.
The card collectibles are huge.
So yeah, so you're out here, and we talked a little. So one thing cool too, so we can tie this into the gym and fitness is, yeah, none of us are. So many people in the fitness, when they get into fitness, most people's exposure is like, oh, I just watched this CrossFit documentary. I just saw this ultra marathoner on Instagram.
David
You know?
Goggins.
Yeah,
Some
I saw
crazy stuff.
We see all the extreme, this power lifter. So people then start to associate, like, well, if I even exercise at all, I need to pursue one of these like crazy things. When the real reality is like, exercise can just be to support your life and your hobbies, right? So
Yep.
like for you, it's disc golf. Like you have extra time in your life, you are going to use it for disc golf, right?
Yep.
So the gym is then,
So-
scheduled and planned, and you do enough to then support your life and hobbies, right? And that also is like happens over time, right? So
It's
talk about your
yeah.
fitness and yeah, your hobby and yeah.
It's actually really cool because it took some time to figure out the balance on this. Coming from the background of I'm a coach at Coastal, I'm gonna lift, I'm gonna get shredded. That's how it all started, and I wanted to actually gain weight, gain muscle, and definitely get an overall, I guess self-esteem boost, something. Little did I realize that was going to change my mood completely when I went from doing nothing with my life to lifting weights. You do get this sense that everything else that you're doing, if you're going to try and eat well or take care of yourself in general, it's just amplified and rewarded almost with also just kind of feeling better in your skin.
Yeah.
So the training effect for me it's completely changed my life. But so I was doing that for years, maybe 5, 6, 7 years without, really just focusing on training, focusing on movement, began to dive more into the details of how our bodies work, muscle-wise and nervous system-wise. And so my training's fluctuated there. But then, yeah, enter in kind of some space, some time, and I'm like, let's get a hobby. I'll go back to disc golf. I played this years ago. It was fun. And as I started doing it, I tend to get obsessive a little bit about something that I'm going after. I like to dive into the detail, and when it came to this sport, I wanted to get really good at it. I kind of wanted to get so good at it that I was like, okay, anything I can move around, I will. And that's what happened last year with training. I took my training days down from, maybe 4 or 5 at maximum, but I took it down to 2 or 3. I started going really light on everything, really, and all in the name of making sure that I don't fatigue while I play disc golf, or noticing a little body aches or something as I'm playing this sport more. So I thought taking training down to supplement it was going to be the right answer. And then all the benefits of training, I started losing some of the key postural fixes that training gives, or even just general strength. I think I started overall losing that stuff. And even my disc golf started to suffer because I went too far the other way.
Yeah. I know, and you told me, like, you got so into, like, feeling the movement and, like, just, like, going slow and light and just too much, in that direction, to where, well, now you're not even providing enough stimulus for the muscle benefits, the joint and ligament benefits, the bone benefits, and the strength benefits.
It's really interesting because, yeah, like just like you're saying, most people, I think, they go into CrossFit or they go into stuff that they think they need to go crazy intense when they train. I think I started going, I wanted to see where the other boundary was.
Yeah, the other end of the spectrum.
So slow and controlled. Just body weight lunges, just to make sure that I'm doing it 100% right and good. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're dealing with a specific injury. You got to make sure you're okay there. But as a habitual training, I mean, no. And I talked to Will about this too. Like, no progress. Like, should I be doing? And this year, just after good conversations, kind of was like, okay, well, maybe I do need to actually still challenge myself in training somehow. Make sure it's progressive or at least stimulating. And sure enough, everything is acclimated. And now I only practice a certain amount, I train a certain amount, but they've helped each other.
Yeah. But it's enough
when you
now.
Train, and I don't want that to get lost. I like, especially when I put my message about consistency and stuff. But the real reality with training is, you don't have to do a ton, but the little you do, you want the focus and intensity to be there.
Yeah.
So, and where you were searching, the answer really is like, you don't need a ton of volume and frequency. You can scale that back, find exercises that you can do pain-free. Then once you establish those things, so this like minimum effective dose, and then pain-free exercises, then push what you are doing, right? And it only can be a couple sets a week, and you're hitting everything you need. But always be trying to train, close to what you're capable of, so that you can drive those adaptations. Are you still doing the little full body setup that I showed you?
Yes. It was from that
Chris Beardsley.
Yeah, exactly. And just it's
like it was like a push, a pull.
Push, pull legs.
Yeah.
I do 3 exercises when I train. Just 3. I do 4 to 5 sets. And it's some compound press, maybe like a single arm or leg during that as well, and then the other one's just another, maybe a squat, deadlift. Very basic, most like simple exercises ever, but found the minimum effective dose where I was somewhat challenged, or even noticed that these do not take away from each other, and then have slowly been building since then. It takes me 45 minutes. It doesn't take me much. I do it 3 times a week, unless it's a tournament week, in which I take off that Wednesday, Friday. So I end up training 10 days a week, 3 exercises each time.
10 days a month.
10 days a month.
I know what you meant. 10 days a week. Ben has more time than we do.
Like if you can step into the 4th dimension, like you can train and do everything.
And then there it is, And then that's the thing. Then if you have a few key lifts, and with my perfect form, I can do X amount of weight for X amount of reps, and in times of surplus, or when you're pushing, or if you have an off season, you can even maybe work on hitting PRs. And then the real reality is, then if you're dieting or you're in competition season, really still train hard. Don't expect maybe to move forward, but train as if like, let me hold on to what I can do, which is effort. It takes intensity,
it does.
you know? And then you could even scale back from 4 sets to 2 sets, right? But as
Right.
long as you can have one set where you're maintaining your performance, that's a good place to be.
Then that perfectly describes it, because I did have a good conversation with Will at one point about kind of like, after I found my minimum effective dose, where do I go from here?
Yeah, how do I do this?
And we talked about like not necessarily volume. If you're training for a sport, but being that specific did help.
Yeah.
Let that stay down, but hit one big set. Like work your way up to something where you are, like you said, maintaining this performance of, 185 squat or something, right? Like it's not the maximum I've ever done. It's not easy. I can't walk in and hit one of those. But if I work my way up to it and I can hit that every other week or so, it does maintain this strength,
whatever adaptations are required.
And it really, that's all it took.
And that's what people have to realize. And like, it doesn't, and to a certain point, it depends on what you're trying to do. Like, if you're not a power lifter, you don't need to squat as possible. But to be able to squat 185 pounds for 10 reps or whatever, like, and maintain that, that is great.
I believe everybody has that.
And pursuing certain things, and that's what we try to get at. Like, even when you look at some of these fitness sports, like, they don't make a lot of sense for a lot of people because you start to get into risk reward,
Right.
Same thing with a ton of, actually someone messaged me the other day about cardio, because I had an email that went out and they're like, well, what should I do? I guess, I'll see. And they were asking what I do. And I was like, well, honestly, most of the time I just walk outside.
Yeah.
But then I explains, look, like, because this guy gets so caught up as he logs into Instagram and sees that he should be doing all these things.
Yeah, people
you do have the people who are like, you need to, have the elite conditioning of a Navy SEAL, and I'm just like, well, what are your hobbies? How much conditioning do you need? Like, for me, I like to know that I could. The most I would ever need to run at one time would be like a mile, and never that, right? I would assume, like, I don't know, my dog escape or there was a
something happening,
volcano erupting, and I
you gotta get out of there.
Right? Like, and if my body composition is good and my general fitness and I can move around on my feet, I'll be able to run a mile. And then you have your foundation of resistance training, right? Which nothing else can replicate that, so that needs to be done. And then outside of that, whatever you have time for, go for it. If you want to run ultra marathons, go do that. But realize there's a time trade-off. So basically, I told him, if I was like wanting to optimize my conditioning and stuff, I would, outside of my training days, I would do like some low intensity steady state conditioning on a treadmill to where my heart rate's like at 140 for 30 to 45 minutes, 3 days a week. I would do one interval session, making sure I hit X amount of intervals. But here's the thing: every extra minute I typically, to monitor those, to optimize, I would need to be like at the gym on the treadmill, right, or doing interval. Well, and I'm already there 3 times a week for 45 minutes lifting. So every minute I'm doing that stuff is a minute. This sounds silly, but I mean, it's it's your own individual stuff. I could be walking with my dog.
No, it's true.
Right? And he's older, so I'm going to look, am I going to care about, and so I would rather go home and then walk for 40 minutes with my dog. Right? And then, so that's like one reason. That's a trade-off that I've come to grips with for my life. And then the second one is, for me personally, the extra cardio gains I get from having a more structured cardio routine are not worth it versus, because I'd have to do that inside, versus the benefits of just walking but being outside from sunlight. And then also, luckily we live near like Nolan Trail, so we're in nature, so the nature and sunlight, that actually I value that more.
Yep.
Now if I had some sport I had to play or some specific event, I could.
Yeah,
I needed
it's something that would be your priority.
But the point is, like, when it comes to conditioning,
you don't have a need for that adaptation.
Like, always start with what do I need this?
What am I working towards?
So and the real reality is, have your base. You're not going to be able to replicate the strength training with anything else. So if you're going out doing 5 hours of all this other stuff and not strength training, that is the one thing we would argue against. Is like, you should have this base of strength training
no matter what,
and it's going to make you better. You know,
every runner that comes to our gym that doesn't strength train gets better after they start strength training.
PRs and all
every
and all
single
this.
one, dude.
So find that foundation of 90 minutes a week to strength train, get some walks in. And then, whatever extra time, have at it. Go for it. Get a hobby like Ben's, go all in on it. Play recreational sports or just go walking with your dog or, like that stuff's cool. Be active. So when we talk about minimum effective dose, it's because, like, we think you should prioritize these things first and then, do all this other stuff. Or maybe you do want to be a power lifter, right? But understand, then, it's all cost time. Everything's a trade-off, you know? If now you're in the gym working on your Olympic lifting, that's an extra 6 hours a week of practice.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, well, that's 6 hours of lifting. That means that's 6 hours of other stuff you can't do, And the reality is if you have a family, career, stuff like that, you're time crunched. So,
and health is multifaceted. So you got to decide if this stuff is what you're doing like worth it? Yeah, like you're saying across the board, like getting outside is it's a huge component of health. I'm sure that y'all could actually go into quite a lot of detail on that. So you not being inside on the treadmill, prepping cardio wise for something you're not actually going to use versus going outside with your dog, like that relationship that. Health. I guess in your case, and I bet you if we all looked at it this way, your health is increased or your health is maintained.
Yeah, and that's for you, and I mean for all of us, like. That's kind of the main priority is like health, longevity. Let me, make sure I'm doing all of the things I need to do rather than, all right, well, I want to optimize my fitness and my cardio. But then you start neglecting the other facets of wellness, and that's how like we start to be some type of detriment to ourselves.
Yeah. And again, it's like finding the most bang for your buck, right? Like
cardio
bros will come and be like, oh, the extra conditioning helps, prevent heart disease. And it's like, yes, but we talk about this all the time. It's massive diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Right? And the bigger chunk is what's your BMI?
Yeah.
That has a higher correlation with decreasing risk of cardiovascular disease than any specific food or tons of extra cardio, right? And in fact, you can do so much cardio.
You start to go the other way.
It starts to be like, you start to be higher risk.
Yeah, like people that do like marathons, ultra marathons, and that are doing it frequently, honestly, not the pinnacle of health.
Yeah.
They're not.
So, everything comes with a cost and a trade-off.
And we were just talking a little bit about before the podcast about how there's a lot of us human beings are stuck in this brain fog, and then we move back and forth and around to reacting to our life, reacting to things, and then thinking, well, I need this. Yeah, I see someone on Instagram. Well, I need more cardio instead of having maybe a more on purpose. I think that like a personal health goal of mine is to get through this life where I don't feel so reactive. I don't feel pulled around. I kind of have a steady demeanor, and I want to be able to have the mental control, emotional control, however you want to look at it, to basically have events occur, maybe watch my reaction, but then make good, clean decisions on it.
Yeah.
A big part, at least for me, for disc golf, winning $600 with these Frisbees. I mean, not going to lie to you guys, I slept with my putter that night, and I just rolled over, and I was like, thanks for making me $600. Like that's cool, but if it never happened, I mean, if you look at my last year's stats, I didn't make anything for the first few months I was doing it. So, but the part that I love about it is that an 18-hole round of disc golf, it reminds me so much of life in that you have to finish. You signed up for this tournament. You play hole after hole. And seriously, you could mess it up. You could go right out there in the first 3 holes, triple bogey everything, and
you're bombed.
The rest of your day, the rest of your next day, because that was a 2-day tournament, is done. Yeah. Pretty much. I know you can come back, and that's the idea. But like life is like that sometimes. You start it. You start a new job. You start a new relationship, and you mess it up right away. Everybody kind of wants to go, okay, this has happened, but I want to get out of it. I want to crumple it up. I want to start new. Like disc golf has taught me how you got to finish your 18, how this life is continuously going, and I messed up. I've done terrible things, and I've also done amazing things, and it's all within one. It's this really, really mentally stimulating sport where you have to finish your 18, and it helps me practice when I throw a bad shot not to react to it. Because I still have a lot of golf to play, so I have to stay focused, stay out of the brain fog, reaction, emotional, whirlwind, and then just try to throw a good shot the next time. Like as in, I messed up on my diet today. okay, wake up tomorrow, and guess what? Yeah, tomorrow's another shot.
Yeah, you can make choices.
You just got to, I mean,
Yeah.
and sitting there thinking and putting yourself into that shame loop of like, I messed this up, I'll never get there, and deciding where you're at right now, reacting to that, any of those things, these are not good techniques. And that's, again, why I love disc golf is I get to practice that. I get to practice it every time I play. I get to practice essentially living my life in this. I mean, I'm throwing Frisbees at baskets. It's not that important. But if I make it important and I can, it's a unique training opportunity for a different aspect of health that, I mean, is just, I mean, arguably just important as any of the physical, the nutritional, any of this stuff. It all counts.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And think about it. I mean, it helps teach emotional intelligence and high stakes. And it's kind of like, it's exactly the same. I actually saw this thing yesterday, and it was talking about how in business, you know, as you do well, the stakes get higher. And you still have to do the same thing. You have to make good decisions. But it gets harder and harder because then you have more people depending on you. And then someone commented how they were a professional poker player. And it was the same for them, because you start out, you're doing $100 tournaments of your own money, but the real reality is, like, the way you play, the decisions you have to make that make you good are the same. But then all of a sudden, when now you're in a $1,000 tournament, you know, then you're in a $100,000 tournament, then you're in $1 million tournament, that can change how you.
You're like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose all my money.
So it should be the same though,
but it's the same in golf, right? In disc golf.
Yes.
Now, think about it. If you
I'm going out today by myself.
Yeah, and if you mess up early,
it's the same.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But then think about this: when you're winning, you're doing well. The stakes get higher every single hole. But you have to then keep this. But you're making the same. You have to do the same thing.
Exactly.
But the more the stakes are, the harder it gets.
And you would think that I had never thrown a Frisbee on, but yeah, when I walk up to the first tee of almost any tournament, you'd think I'd never held one of these before. I don't, like, that I actually barely walked here as my knees are shaking underneath me just because of the mounting pressure of how is this all going to go? But it's the same shot I just threw. I mean, I just threw the same thing probably before the 2-minute warning where you can't practice anymore. I threw it. It was beautiful. I cured it right down right in between the trees. But then I walk up with the pressure on, and I can't even see straight. You know, like there's so much riding on it. It's wild.
That's why when you watch like pro golf, even though most people, if they never played and they don't understand it, they don't understand. Like, do you know how hard it is to walk up? You have all these people, you have all the pressure, and the way they hit those shots, they don't even. Their bad shots are amazing.
It's incredible.
And,
it's incredible.
It's a crazy amount of pressure.
Yeah.
To do something like that.
To keep your cool and just do the same stroke that you've been doing over and over and over again somehow just became a million times harder. It's unique. Yeah. But it is definitely like a good, it's a really nice, and that, I guess that's the whole point of that is like, how you pick your hobby, or when you are trying to balance this out, like looking for more benefits than even just like, well, I like throwing darts. Like looking for those types of parallels or even side benefits. I think that does help find balance. It helps, I guess, kill multiple birds with one stone kind of thing.
I think like any hobby or sport like has that kind of baked in. Like there's always things you're going to be able to take away from it that will help you, And that's why, like, as kids, sports are so great. Like they teach you a lot more than just like, here's how to do this physical thing. There's not quitting. Following through with things that you do. Losing is super important.
Yeah.
And that carries on into adulthood, like when you do any activity, like whether it's, hey, you run marathons or you play disc golf. Like there's always going to be a life lesson and something that's reinforcing with you. And that's why it's good to have something like that.
Yeah.
So
I failed miserably when I was on the golf team in high school. But it was only because, like, you had to have a certain amount of kids on the golf team to have a golf team. Well, the baseball coach, he wanted to be the golf coach because you got to go play 9 holes. You got a bucket of balls at the range, and you played 9 holes every day in the summer, like when in August.
Yeah, he wanted that easy breezy, man.
So he basically wanted the free golf. So he was like, we had like 2 kids who were actual legit good golfers, and then he's basically came to the baseball team and was like, yeah, like 6 of y'all are playing golf.
Try to strong arm you guys into golf.
I was like, all right, you know. And then what happens the way it used to work in high school golf is then like the day before a tournament, you would all play your 9 holes, and like the top 3 or maybe even just 2 actually scorers would then get to go play in the tournament. So I was like, cool. Basically, I just get to come out here and get free golf and never have. Well, one time, one of our top 2 guys like was on family vacation, so there was this open spot, and then we all play the 9 holes, and I like shot. And here's the thing:
you actually did really well.
Yeah, you practice every day, you get pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
So I got decent. And then I shot and made it, and it was the nice course in Williamsburg, like the
Kingsmill or
no, it was like Williamsburg National or something.
Oh, okay.
And so then all of a sudden though, when you have to go, you know, and you're playing, and every shot counts, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's the thing. Like, it's not just redo.
Bro.
Everyone's standing around when you're teeing off, right? This could have changed my life, right?
Yeah. Yes.
If I would have hit this drive right down the center, you know, grab your tee, everyone's clapping.
Yeah.
You take that confident walk.
Yep.
Who knows?
You're a golfer.
Who knows?
Yeah.
No coastal. It's just.
Bro.
Did you shake it?
Shanked it, dude. like where you shank it, like backwards.
Just right to the parking lot, man.
Here's the thing, though. If you're just doing this with, you know,
your buddies,
your practice, your round, you just tee another one up, right?
Exactly. No worries.
You can't do that.
You gotta go play from that shot.
You gotta play at the last hole.
Exactly it.
So I gotta walk backwards and now, okay, let's get this puppy out there.
Did you have to move the crowd? That's the worst. Like the crowd, you all back up, like my golf falls under your feet.
Shank it. And then you're just in your head.
You're dead.
You know, and then essentially, and then you talk about you gotta finish.
You gotta finish.
So this is the type of thing where I would have just quit, or you pick up the ball and go to the next hole. But no, you got to finish.
That's it,
And
dude. This is
so
it.
now just imagine.
What'd you score on that hole?
Just hacking through. I don't even remember the hole, but I remember coming in, and then when I'm coming in, and Andrew Gregory, at that time he was my JV coach in high school, and then he was the coach at Heritage High School, baseball coach, and his wife came to the gym for a little while. And he's out in Smithfield now, but he was, I guess, like the dude sitting at the end taking the scores, and I had a 134.
Oh, damn.
Because I was just, and so of course I told him, and he gives me a hard time. And it was just a completely miserable,
just a disaster.
It's and that I guess
you know
what
things.
I was gonna say I think it's actually. It's the competitive version of these sports where you can't just pick up the ball and go.
Yeah.
I guess if you're casual, you can just it's like starting your day.
You know what it is? And this ties in well with like exercise and nutrition. Like when there's an accountability to where you can't lie and you have to be honest, you learn a lot.
Yep.
Actually,
right? Because think about it, you can go play golf and shoot 100.
But how many times?
How many mulligans? But you can also track your calories and eat 1,400 calories, but actually eat 2,500 calories, right? Just like you can shoot a 100, but you really shot.
Yeah, it's easy to do that when no one's looking,
right? So you learn
nothing.
There's some lessons.
You learn or gain nothing from that. Yeah.
And then the real reality is, okay, you shoot 134. You're honest. Now let me improve, and you hold yourself accountable, and you go.
And that's uncomfortable though when you're like, God damn, I shot 134.
Yeah.
So that's So when I was watching like through the little app, your stuff, and then I would see you're winning, and you're getting, and I'm like, man. All I could think about was the stress then of every shot. But then what is it, like pressure creates diamond? But that's how you become great.
Yeah.
Because then now you're operating at this level.
You like, and that is like so that first round, right? Remember I think we talked about it too. Like I hit that. I was being patient. It's one of these courses where birdies are out there, but you can't force it because the gaps are too tight. Too many bad things can happen. You just have to play smart and wait for a birdie opportunity to make your putt. I've been waiting, and then I made bogey. And I had that moment of just like, I guess like that's where it comes down to. I've been in that situation before. You take bogey now I feel like I'm falling behind.
Yeah.
Stress just went way up.
And then you're trying to play catch up by doing too much.
Right. So it was, and in that moment, I thought, okay, you can't do that. You can't overcompensate, but instead, dial in just 1 or 2 notches harder. And that's exactly what happened. I went on this tear where, to my opponents, they started to get in their head because it was a 5 or 6 hole stretch of just, I wasn't missing anything. So it was kind of crazy because it was like, it didn't matter if it was, I sunk a 80-foot putt on one of the holes. I threw one ridiculously over and around a tree where I guess like if it would have missed, it probably would have flew way by the basket. But it was, I guess, yeah, close enough. But anyway, just shots that you don't see go in a lot. And I was doing it one after the other. And it was it was that moment, just like you're saying, without that pressure, without just forcing myself, nope, take the bogey. That's what you actually got. Now I get to look back, and I had this confidence going into the rest of the tournament that if I want to turn it on, apparently I have it. And like, you don't learn that about yourself unless you have the pressure and you have this moment of do or die, sink or swim.
Yep.
Here you go. And that's, yeah, I'm digging on that. I definitely feel a huge overall life confidence boost since I've been playing this sport and have a few times now taken the high pressure and like actually did something with it.
I think like being able to stay cool and focused under pressure is like one of the hardest things to do in sport. Like think about any, like, bro, you're a quarterback, you're Tom Brady. Everyone's like, oh, well, he just, he's just, some people will say he's the GOAT. Some people will say he's overrated. Yeah. But like that dude is so calm under pressure and just executes. And like you get that way through repetition and honing your craft and being confident in the choices you make. But like it takes being under pressure to do that.
I have to, you got to mess up.
You have to.
You have to actually, yeah, you get that pressure and you have to screw up and then you have to go, okay, well, what did I do wrong? But that means you have to put yourself there, experience that awful shank after shank move in the crowd feeling. Like you have to go through that and then you have to come back. So
you have to be able to keep yourself from like boiling over too. Because if you get stressed, let's say you got your bogey and then you're like in your own head and then you got like more and more stressed and you're trying to force stuff. You're not going to get anything out of that. Like you're not. It gets bad. That's going to make it worse because you are no longer cool under that pressure. You've reacted to the pressure in the wrong way.
No, and you're in that. You're stuck. That's probably 60% of the people at that. At that
I was gonna say, well, that's where you can see the mental game, especially in like golf and disc golf. Like you can look at that leaderboard and see there's someone that shot a -12 and someone that shot a +12, and the reality is their skill levels are not 12, not a 24-stroke difference.
No, you're right.
No, they're probably dead even.
But they could have thrown that one bad throw and just gotten in a bad headspace, and then everything's
happens before you even know it. Yep. That's why I like the ratings too. Some would argue, some of the disc golfers argue about the ratings. It's like, well, this, that. I find it kind of like you guys are saying about BMI, and it's right. Like overall,
no matter how you feel about it, it probably is right.
And there's the ones who don't like it are the ones who don't like their rating.
Yeah, exactly.
You're 100%
right. The top people complaining about the
I was going to say, there's usually no 1,000-rated players that are going, there's something wrong with
this. Yeah, I'm not a 1,000-rated player.
We're solid, so we feel good about this. No, and I mean, you could play your home course only, and you could boost that rating up or whatever. But the point is, like, it's pretty accurate. So, if you look at the ratings and then you look at how people finish, generally speaking, they finish in order. Now, every once in a while, you get a low-rated person going super high, or super high-rated going low, and that's what it is. It's the mental. It's they got stuck in a loop where they couldn't get out of that pressure.
And then they spiraled and they broke, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's one scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out. If you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's 1 scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out.
And that's seriously,
And like we've all seen that happen in sport too,
dude.
where like somebody
yes.
that's a very highly skilled player,
How did they do that?
they just like they mess up and then it's just all downhill and they have like the worst game they've ever played, you know. And like
Yep.
there's a lot of factors that go into that. I'm not
but it's always
dogging
wild
on
to
anybody,
watch,
but
though.
like it's interesting to see it happen and you're like, man, like literally nothing's going right anymore.
I mean, I'm a big believer in momentum in sports, especially in a sport like football.
Absolutely,
like
man.
remember the
Yes.
Super Bowl where on like the first play, Peyton Manning they botched a snap and it went in and became a safety, and then the other team got the ball and then scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
Like if that doesn't happen and they marched down and they end up losing that game, if that doesn't happen and say they score a touchdown on their first drive, they
That changes the game,
in a
dude.
route, right? So those one single moments can.
The momentum in sports is so such a big thing, and it's all mental,
It's
right?
a phenomenon.
Like
Yeah,
if you have
'cause it's, like,
somebody that
in your
starts a disc
brain.
golf game and like the first 4 holes they just destroy everybody, how's everyone else gonna feel? Like people are gonna start questioning, like, damn, can I even keep up with this person?
And they're gonna start doing that thing that you said about like, well, I got to catch up and I got to
I
start
gotta play
overextending
harder.
myself.
And then that
which does
person-
not
Like you start going all in every hand.
yeah,
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
what it is, man. And I think that's
It doesn't usually lead to
it doesn't happen.
better
but,
results. Not
yeah,
usually.
Momentum's interesting, man. It just and it takes one thing. It takes, hey, we're dead even, middle of a game, pick 6,
Yeah.
and then the whole game
Swing.
shifted. You know,
Yep.
so
Or you can see it in baseball too. Like a pitcher can be pitching a no-hitter, and then that one guy gets a hit or hits a home run, you're losing, and then all of a sudden the floodgates open.
yeah, like your knees buckle basically, and that's game over.
It's so cool. It definitely does speak to the power of the brain in
Oh,
that
yeah.
you are we're I mean, I don't want to say we're at its mercy because there is actual physical things happening outside of it, but
Well, that's
our
where depending on the
perception
sport,
is
like that's where like something very physical like football, you know, it's like then that's where like your conditioning and stuff comes in.
Oh, yeah.
Because then it's
Hopefully
like how
be
do you
training
do it
that
in the
cardio.
fourth quarter when you're
Yes.
gassed? Like, you know, it's interesting to watch different sports based on like golf is a little more technique driven,
Well,
whereas
I like what you said about it. We were talking the other day about like so golf is like, I mean, generally slow. I mean, we're walking a ton. We got a large backpack of discs, but you're not like I'm not running to my frisbee. I'm just walking.
but then you have to have max effort repeated over and over.
That's the part that's
so it's,
like
I was telling you, it's for me, it's like the most comparable sport. Like golf and disc golf is very similar to like a pitcher in baseball.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
Like,
because you
would
got to
think-
be on it every single time.
Yeah. And and then you have you have to have this max effort over and over. So it's eventually you're gonna lose power, and then really as far as being in shape for something like disc golf and golf, like if you can maintain your power longer than other people.
That's the difference maker.
That's going to matter.
Because when you start to lose that, then your pitches won't be as fast in baseball as you want them to be. They're so easier to hit, and then you won't be able to throw as far as you need to.
And
then when you gotta add a little more oomph to, like, say, throwing a frisbee, like then you start to lose your precision. Because you're giving more than you are used to giving, and it's just hard.
I saw this interview with he was some strength and conditioning guy for some pro team. And I don't even remember who was interviewing him, but dude, it was so good. He was talking about, so you know how sports training went through that thing where it's like, we're going to try to replicate sport movements in the gym with exercises.
I remember that.
And they basically know now, like, yeah, that's not smart. Just go lift, make your component strong, right? Like, make a strong muscular system, make a strong, cardiovascular system, make a strong, joint, and then go play your sport, right? And the way they know to look at it now is, so for a while they'd be like, oh, well, this is just an example, and the one he used, well, if I throw a weighted football, I'll be able to throw a regular football better, right? But what you have to understand is the inputs to your body, and this will go nicely into the NKT stuff, is, well, but if you normally throw a football from this angle, and then you have a weighted football, and it changes things like 4 inches, even though they're both throwing a football, that's two completely different things, right?
Yes.
And I even went through when I came up playing baseball, they would do the weighted baseballs
bats.
And weighted bats. And the real reality is like, or you would go in the gym and let me do a rotational twist that's like a baseball swing. And the reality is like, no, like that's, if anything, you're actually making yourself worse at your sport because it's confusing your neurological patterns and everything.
Right.
So it's like, go in the gym, do the basics, get strong, reinforce, don't hurt yourself, and then go play your sport.
And really, it's just, hey, the gym is to, in that case, give your body, like, more ability to create force in your sport.
And
that's
so
what
in your
it
reality,
is.
if someone's like, well, let me throw weighted frisbees, maybe that's, the reality is like, well, now it's a different sport,
You're literally learning a different movement pattern at that point.
Yeah.
I'm used to throwing 175 gram, down to like 169 or something. But like that is what my body is used to coordinating from my left foot all the way through my right arm. Like that motion is used to this kind.
So could you imagine if you taking like a cable and trying to do a frisbee throw? And people do that,
No, and I do want to speak to that because I talked to Will about this. Like, same deal about the progression thing. I'm like, what do you think about adding some type of sport specific? And we talked about it's like it kind of arrived at like you could do something that trains explosiveness, but
like a medicine ball slam, throw.
Specific is not. And I tried it. I was feeling around with it, And that's the thing. Without a professional standing over me, making sure that the coordination didn't change. Some actual long full disc golf motion does not translate at all. Yeah. It does. I'm too worried about the resistance curve. It's. The gravity's coming from above, and if I'm pulling a cable, I get it, but it just doesn't.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. I ended up doing. I do cleans. Is kind of my explosive
so just
motion.
Power move.
Literally just a leg to arm coordinated motion to just make sure that area of my life is still powerful. It doesn't even replicate either my backhand or my sidearm. It doesn't. Yeah.
But it's training your muscular system to have speed and power,
exactly.
Which then translates over to
it's and trial error wise, that's been the best. Yeah. It's been the most translatable.
Yeah.
But as far as like how the brain works, how movements are just behaviors. I really like, behaviors as in when I wake up, I have breakfast like this, or I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I wake up and I brush my teeth. This behavior that's almost ingrained, that it almost becomes second nature. That's the same thing with how you bench press, how you throw a frisbee. And so I guess like when we're looking to change something or improve on something or whatever, it's a lot more complicated than just
do it,
isolate it, do it, whatever.
Think about it when you hear all these football players and these quarterbacks, and they come in and they're like, oh, so-and-so needs to work on their throwing mechanics. And you think, oh, that's a professional athlete. That should take a day.
You're asking to relearn.
We're not going to play this guy for a year because he needs to redo his throwing his footwork. You know,
remember when they retaught Zion how to walk,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's yes, it is that complicated, and that's the thing. I definitely want to plug this. Is like, I promise you, it goes. You think, oh, we all just walk automatically, no worries. Yeah, well, most likely, all of us have some type of inefficiency in there.
Oh, God,
we could
yeah.
bring it all the way down to the way that we breathe. The way that we breathe, we're over breathing. We're taking in too much oxygen and not actually using it. Like there are benefits to stepping back to even the most basic movements and making them more efficient.
Yeah. And to let people know, as we're now getting into this, you know, you do at the gym, you're coach classes, but you also do movement therapy, which is rooted in NeuroKinetic Therapy, which NeuroKinetic Therapy is corrective movement system that addresses the cause of pain based off of dysfunctional movement patterns stored in the brain.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's deep, I think. So one way I like to describe it to people, and I actually thought of this as it was happened one time, you notice how, say you go to a new house for the first time, or you move in a new house, and you go down or up the stairs, and you got to, like, actually think about, like, putting your foot and how many steps there are.
Yep.
And then you notice, once you've lived there for a while, you run up the stairs. You're not counting them, but it's seamless. You don't even think about
Yep.
it. So, you know, what your body does is, you know, you learn these patterns. Hey, you learn how many steps there is and the distance of them, and you can do it with your eyes closed and not even having to think about it. That is a movement pattern stored in your brain.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
So, and we develop those based off of different things, right? Say your legs were 4 inches shorter, the way you run up the stairs would be different, right? Or if you had one ankle that was hurt, you would get hobbled, and then you would run up it that way. And then even though your ankle got better, if you never forcefully changed it, it would be stored, and you'd be running up the other way.
I mean, and there are arguments that say, yeah, every single movement pattern we've ever had, in a similar fashion that every thing that's ever happened to us is stored as memory. These movement patterns are also stored, some in the brain, some in the spinal cord, some like actually in the nerves. You know, they all actually like are accessible.
Yeah.
And
I've told you with my dog, you know, who's had injuries before, right? He got injured running through the yard because he dug a bunch of holes and he hit a ditch, and, you know, he flew up and hurt his back. And now obviously I know it was because he hit a ditch in the yard. But now, and it's funny, if you watch him, actually my neighbor the other day, he was walking the yard. He walks kind of like a mummy, you know, because he doesn't necessarily know that it was, but he knows. He's more sensory inputted, right? I'm on this grassy surface where I got hurt. I'm going to walk real, and the neighbor's even like, "Is he hurt?" I'm like, "Nah, he just walks through the grass like that now."
Because he's kind of hesitant
and
about
now
everything.
he's stored. Well, I don't get hurt walking through the grass this way, right? So it's a memory, it's a nervous system thing now.
Yes.
And you see it, you know.
And some people say, well, it's all in his head. And
Well, technically,
Well, I mean,
answer is yes.
everything's all in your head,
yes.
Yeah.
But not quite the way you think. It's not
Yeah.
like he had because he's got tangible evidence that suggests that this is the right call.
Yeah.
Like, I got hurt just doing my normal thing here.
Yeah.
Like, stands to reason. I mean, that's how our ancestors made it, right? My friend went off the cliff, never came back. I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from that bad boy.
Yeah.
And after he was hurt, he also walked like that real gingerly on the street. But then he kind of realized,
I'm
this is
okay.
fine, and he walks normal on the street now, you know, and he runs and stuff like that. But then he gets in the yard, but then he'll chase a squirrel. It overpowers. He sees the squirrel. He takes off running like, you know. And then he didn't realize what happened, right? Because he still actually has stronger neurological pull to chase that freaking squirrel.
So in that actually, like, to summarize, like, what do I do in movement therapy? Like,
you
right
find a
there,
squirrel?
I find the squirrel.
Yeah.
First, I find your nervous system's greatest fear, which is, I definitely rehearsed that. I thought about that. I was like, because that's exactly what we're doing. I mean, it's weird, but like the muscle testing and how are you doing something different than a doctor does, right? Somebody will look at you and go, look at your neck's cocked to the side. There must be something wrong with your neck, right? They could be right, they could be wrong, whatever. But the way that I do it is I assess and test, like, what is the purpose behind the neck to the side?
Yeah, why did it end up like that?
And usually it surrounds some type of grass situation,
trauma.
or even something over time. But so like this is working better. This is so I don't have to be afraid. This is so, and so if we can find out what that actually is, then we can give the system a squirrel. Something like positive and exciting enough and helpful enough to adapt to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I can't, you don't restore cartilage to bone on bone, but if that squirrel is exciting enough, your knee will learn to move differently. And I mean, literally, even if it is bone on bone, can very, very well function without the pain. Sure, you will have some type of limitation. Like if Arnie actually did something, right? It's always maybe there, and he's treating it the way he's treating it, but he doesn't have. Yeah, he can run on the street still. He can still do things. And that's the thing that we don't know is what our systems are capable of. But I think that's why people come to our gym. I think that's why people are, y'all just didn't give up. Yeah. Is because we believe that we could adapt to something better. Yeah. And I guess y'all would be really surprised at how much better it could get. Like how close to perfect we can be, even if it seems like I have 10 problems. I don't think so. No.
The other thing, too, to play off of that is pain and how much they're even learning now. And this isn't even like you've been on it early because of this, but now it's becoming more mainstream that like pain can just be a signal, right? Nothing could even be wrong at this point. And I've experienced it and learned it. I told you how, probably like a year and a half ago, I had hurt my knee. I was doing rear full elevated split squats, real heavy, and like anything, it always happens. And like when you're not doing that, it was like the transition of legs, and then like I felt
something
my knee kind of
stupid.
And I did hurt it. Like there was something, it kind of like, and I had to watch it for a while. But then like I didn't hurt it majorly. There was probably like a little tear, and I had to repair, right?
Exactly.
And then of course you notice that, and I had a pattern of like, hey, I got to be cautious of this But then a year goes by. And I was able to do anything, and when I would go, I even got back to old lifts. But then, like, doing random stuff, like sitting, and, like, there would be this little pain in my knee.
Right.
And I was like, but, after talking with you, I was like, I don't think, it's not injured anymore, right? Maybe it could be, like, and I even, healed. Maybe a scar tissue or whatever. But then I was like, you know what, I'm going to, I think it's in my head, and my body's just protecting me, and I literally was upstairs, grabbed like the staircase, and just sat into the squat and literally went into the pain. Went in, like, dipped my knee into a place where it would normally kind of talk back, and there'd be a little pain, and then just literally then I would breathe through it. I would literally inhale, calmly breathe through it, and then it's like the pain release.
Well, you're telling your brain, like, hey, it's okay to be here.
To be here, yes.
Like, this is fine.
And then literally, there had been pain there. There's little, like, for a year. I was kind of cautious for like 5-6 months, and then even after that, it's so gone. Never came back.
Yep.
And then the real reality is the pain was just a neurological signal, I guess.
Probably, like you said,
it wasn't actually an injury or and the pain was real. I was literally feeling it, and that's what people have to realize. Like pain,
you're actually feeling it. It's a real.
There's nerves there, but it's a signal from the brain
telling you, hey, something's wrong, when in fact, like,
and getting out of your brain,
it wasn't anymore.
Learning to breathe and calm and let your nervous system know that it's okay.
And people do ask, like, is this a doctor thing? Is it something we could fix? Is it something I can still lift with or whatever? And it's like, the thing is like most of those things that are like you broke it,
like
whatever,
tore a ligament,
you tore your ACL.
It's you don't really have good days and bad days. You don't have that motion hurt this time, but it didn't this time very much. I mean, the ones that you go see the doc with is like, every freaking time I do anything with this, whether I touch
I can't sleep,
I can't. That's pointing to like, hey, there might be something.
And
structural.
Here's the thing: the hard thing, like that's pain too, and your central nervous system is letting you know, but it's also like structural. It's different, right? So
what's wild too is that we can have these structural issues and
have
actually
no pain.
have
like
no
people
pain.
Tear their ACLs
I mean, y'all have if you're 35 plus, you got arthritis all over your body. Okay, so that as a reason, like as a this is why you're experiencing pain, I think is one of the worst cop outs we can take.
You mean when doctors like, I just got arthritis,
it's
and then just get out of here.
That's what it is. And then jump on the maybe the pill train or
take
the shot
ibuprofen for the rest of your life.
See, it's like so I'll tell you, even if that is true, you have arthritis in that joint and you have pain present, by calling it arthritis, I think you just eliminate responsibility or hope that I have something I can do about this. And there's no way that that's not true, that there's not something you can do to improve this slightly. So I would never subscribe to the take the responsibility off yourself. You're a victim to your pain thing, because we don't want to take that position in life in general. I'm just fat. I'm just in pain. I'm just this. Yeah. No, we want to do something. We want to try to do something. And yeah, there are ways there are ways.
And I remember reading a crazy thing about like people with herniated discs, and how the high percentage of people that have no clue that they have a herniated disc, because there's zero symptoms, zero pain, zero nothing. They function completely normal. And then there's a subset of the population where it's like debilitating. And why is there such a difference between that?
And I don't think I can answer it completely.
I don't think we have the answer, but we have some things that point towards it.
But the brain.
Yeah.
Literally kind of like with Gary's, like this pain, like as far as the probable tear being gone, but the pain signal, the warning from the brain of like, oh, there was something here. I'm not really sure how to deal with it. I mean, again, how did we survive on this planet for so long? It was somebody made a mistake, or we got hurt or whatever, and then we actually respected and learned from it. Yeah. So this signal, the person with the herniated disc, that their brain is just giving them this constant pain signal, don't do anything. That's how we survived. Like your body's not doing something wrong; it's doing something very right. It's how you. But when you do feel that pain, to take it as a signal, and then to almost listen. I mean, that's the probably I would call it the right approach. To if you're at all interested in getting out of it, and at all interested in functioning without the pain, is to go, okay, my body's trying to tell me something. What's it tolerate and not tolerate? And I like the fact that you bent into your pain, because I'll tell you, a tight muscle means two distinct things, and we have no idea which. Sometimes, it needs to be stretched. It's tight. It needs to be pushed on, massaged, acupuncture, whatever. Sometimes a tight muscle is just scared. And doing all that stuff to it will make it considerably worse.
Well, you're just beating the crap out of this muscle that just like is not letting go because there's a high amount of stress and tension.
It's saving you. And you're beating it to death to stop saving you. It says, no, I will never let go, because I'm the only reason your neck is staying up above your shoulders. So in that case, like when you do have a pain signal, explore like Gary did. Like okay, yes, stretch it. Does it feel better? Your system will tell you immediately, wow, I really liked this stretch. I function better. You know, I always say have a movement A, like side bending, and then you stretch it. And then if side bending gets better, you're probably on the right track. Where if it doesn't, what you want to do is quite the opposite. Learn what muscle it is, or feel, and squeeze into it. Maybe contract it. Maybe show it, just like you're saying, it's safe to be here. Breathing is definitely one of the best ways to tell your body it's safe. If it can breathe in a position, it's probably okay.
Hands down.
And then you're gonna take the signals your body's giving you. You're gonna learn from it. It's actually an pain is an opportunity if you look at it that way.
I think that like applies to a lot of things. Like if you can breathe there, like you're good. Because I think a lot of us don't breathe well. Don't know that we don't breathe well, you know. But if you're basically sending yourself the signal all day that like I'm not okay with where I'm at.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like that creates a lot of problems.
Yes.
Pain, tension. I mean, just a stack of stuff.
I mean, and you're bringing up a great point too about the other. I guess like does a tight muscle need contraction, or does it need? Well, actually, you're right. That first, are you just not taking a breath? Are you sitting there in fight or flight? Because you're going to get all of your muscle tensions, your tightnesses. They're going to pop out when you're sitting there in fight or flight, not showing your body it's okay to just be alive right now.
Absolutely.
You know, why does my neck tension never go away?
Because you're just chronically just sipping oxygen in these little tiny breaths.
And it's probably like a part of it, right? It's probably you're probably using your neck to do it. No wonder it would never let go. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a key. If you're somebody who always has tension, or you're just like, I'm just always so tight, that's probably part of it. It's not that your muscles are just inflexible. It's that your brain doesn't think it's okay and safe to go through much motion.
Yeah.
And then most people live in fight or flight now, you know?
Well, yeah.
Like, we treat email like it's a tiger chasing us. You know?
Yeah.
And the brain doesn't know any different.
And then add, like, poor sleep, over-caffeinated.
Over-exercising, over
everything. Overstimulated.
The biggest thing is people, this comes back to, like we talked about, being true with yourself, you know, with your golf score. So many people, just because on the surface, say, physically challenging yourself, like going into physical discomfort through exercise and stuff, like for a lot of people, so that puts you in fight or flight. that's easier and more comfortable than going for just a walk. Getting into a, rest and digest state. And then when people are confronted with that, like, hey, try some of these things that are actually what they need, that is more discomfort for them. And then they'll just seek the fight or flight and stay in there. And
because it's comfortable and it feels good.
Yeah, you're lying to yourself. And then on the surface, you can tell yourself that, oh, I'm doing what's hard because it's technically
because
on
the
surface.
Exertion is there.
But for the reality is, that's not what you need.
Dude, the prime example, and this goes for at the gym or just in general, when you tell someone like, hey, you should try to like meditate or sit there and breathe. Like, oh, I can't do that. I can't sit still. Well, because it's uncomfortable and you don't want to do it.
Yeah. It's so crazy how that's like a viable excuse in some people's minds of like, well, I just can't do it.
I can't exist for 5 minutes by myself.
You can't just sit and exist. Like, you can't be a human being. Like, what?
Yeah.
How are we alive?
And that, like, if you're somebody who feels like, oh, I just can't sit still, like my brain is just too busy. You need this more than anybody. Yep. And I say that we had a challenge at the gym for people that don't go there on Monday. We'll do some testing stuff through the year. It's 4 minutes of reverse lunges, but afterwards we did 4 minutes of breathing to like bring everybody down and come to a baseline and chill. And I mean, in our environment, people are more okay with it and they trust us. Like, okay, this is what I should be doing. But there's always a couple people that are like, oh no, like I gotta go. I
cannot do this.
And it's like you almost freaked out because I told you to sit still for 4 minutes.
And they don't see the value in it.
Exactly, right. And that too, like if you're a go person, the value is very high.
Yeah.
But you aren't leaning into being uncomfortable for a few minutes to see that benefit. So
and we talk about, and then if your job and career makes you like that, if your home life is like that, if you naturally are you need that yin and yang and that balance.
You have to have something pull you back.
The reality is that's most people.
It's just where we're at right now as a society. Yeah.
But then the crazy thing is, how many gyms are doing 4-minute breathing finishers,
right?
In a group setting. So when we know as a group, most people are in fight or flight, chase the stress state, and need to balance that. But then the reality is, we're one out of 100 gyms that try to address that, and everyone else will just tell them what they want to hear.
Yeah, like, and just beat the crap out of them with this high intensity stuff all the time.
And then people wonder why things don't get better or why they end up with certain obstacles and roadblocks. And the crazy thing is, it gets harder and harder to get away with as you get older, because you end up with more life experience, more responsibility, so
less control if you don't practice. I mean, that is a flat out skill to take yourself out of that fight or flight mode and put yourself back into parasympathetic.
Because here's the deal, and this is something Ben said, I think it was one of our training meetings, and basically it was like, you are in control. No matter what, like, you are in control. You're in control of the decisions you make, the reactions you have to the things that happen around you. But, like, you do make the choices. No matter how hard they are, you still, like, you do have control. And, like, there is something empowering about that to know, like, all right, well, today was hard, but I still control how I feel, how I react to this. Like, it doesn't mean that it's super easy for you. It just means that I can make the choice.
Yeah.
And I think for people's training, for their life, for their nutrition, like, knowing I can still make this decision is helpful.
Yeah.
Can be sometimes scary, but it's helpful.
Yeah, and you're definitely, if you're sitting there in that fight or flight, your bandwidth is, I mean, your brain is taking all of your resources, every bit of what your body produces, and putting it toward this survival. Yeah, I'm getting chased by the tiger, so I'm literally like, blood's running to the extremities, getting ready to whatever I have left over. Brain says, all right, now you can use that for motor control, for thought, for just general function. No wonder that you're stuck in that brain fog, or you feel like it's really difficult to make those decisions. Yeah, how do I get out of it? It's the worst answer. Let's sit there for 5 minutes and let it all pass for a second.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, it sounds awful for those who are stuck in that, but with 5 minutes of just being a human and breathing, even if you're not doing it well, you're still just, you will start to edge toward that parasympathetic. Your brain's energy, the resources, begin to stop going toward the survival instinct, and will immediately flood the thought processes, the clarity of mind, the clarity of actual, and that's the one that gets me. Why this has been so cool is like, so you're saying that if I want to move better, if I want to I guess, have more coordination or perform better. The clearer the mind, the cleaner and calmer this is, the more, so it's access to it.
Yeah.
Because within every one of us is this massive potential to be coordinated. Some people, they say, I used to have it, but really it's there. And I mean, I know some people, I guess, are working with less, but at the same time, like, your potential is waiting at the end of that spectrum of I'm calm and focused and clear of mind.
Yeah.
No way are you ever going to achieve that if you are stuck in this idea that something bad is around the corner or gosh, like I just have to keep going. So it's definitely
there's some cool research around like the physical versus mental stress and how if you're extremely mentally taxed, and this can go for a hard day at work or emotionally had a hard day or you're super stressed, how much it diminishes your physical capabilities, like the amount of force you can output and how well you perform and things like that are very diminished based on just that mental stress.
That's cool.
Like it all pours into the same bucket.
Yep.
Like your physical and mental stress. Like your nervous system's just one thing.
Yep.
There's not like a separate one for your mental and one for your physical.
Yeah. One for your job, one for the gym.
Yeah, like it just doesn't work that way. Like
that
they're all the same and they affect each other.
And that's why it's so, people will watch, Joe Schmo professional CrossFitter workout routine. But that's his job.
Yeah, that's
he
where
gets to
everything
pour
goes towards.
all this intensity and stress into this working out. Whereas if you were at work, you woke up, your kids are screaming, your husband didn't do whatever, and you're stressed, and then you go to work and it's stressed, and then you got to go to the gym afterwards
and do this crazy high intensity stuff and
it shouldn't like that. That's not the same thing. That's not going to be the same. You're
You're
going to have a different result, right? And I know for me, my training trains for the better drastically when you used to be like, and I think everyone goes through this when they're younger, but like it's like, okay, workout, I need this pre-workout, I need 400 milligrams of caffeine, I'm hyped up, I got my headphones in, I got the craziest, loudest music, I'm going to do this set, and then you get all tense and amped up and then do it, right? Versus now, like I'll listen to like John Mayer, like no pre-workout.
Hey, you ever listen to audiobooks? Dude,
I
do that sometimes.
But then you know what's crazy?
Piano,
crazy? You end up hitting and surpassing your performance in this now calm state.
You know what? I feel like I have much better like focus. Like I can really just focus on a set and like doing like the best that I can now.
Yeah. Yep.
Whereas before it was like you're kind of sucked into this cloud of just noise
like
and
force it.
Yeah,
Dump
exactly.
it all
and
in,
like and not to say that like there wasn't performance there, but it feels way different operating how both of us probably do now.
And even when you show like this is where running is a great sport for comparison. It's like, and fitness plays it. Fitness levels and genetics play a huge role in this. But a lot of people think like you'll watch these guys run a marathon, and they're running it like a one like a 4-minute mile pace, for a marathon, even better than that.
Yeah.
And you watch and you must think, you think how you would feel trying to run that fast, and the reality is you would maybe be able to maintain that pace for 200 meters, right? And so you then go to, well, that's an all-out effort for 200 meters. I would be gassed, and you start getting all sloppy with your form. But the reality is they are not in that headspace at that place. They are the way you would maybe feel running a 9-minute mile. Oh, I'm calm. I'm under control. My form is staying good.
That's how they feel.
They're just at a fitness level where they are actually at that place mentally, just at this elite physical level. But mentally, and they're able to be calm and collected, right? So same thing with CrossFitters, right? Like they get into these WODs, their fitness level's so good. They're doing a 15-minute WOD. They're not actual at their 100% because you would burn out. Yep. Whereas we could go and start to do what they do and burn out really quick because it maxes us out.
Right.
And mentally we're then gassed, we're breaking down. Mm-hmm. So that's what people have to understand. You'll watch these things and, kind of make the wrong correlations with how you should feel during your training.
Yeah.
So
I definitely feel like you guys have addressed this probably way more specifically, and there are good specifics for what how much weight should I do, or how many times should I work out a week?
Yep.
But I feel like that's
it's all relative. It's all relative. Exactly. And that's what people understand.
That part though,
yeah.
and check your mental, check your breathing. Breathing is your personal trainer, like
Yeah.
more than anything.
Yep.
Should I be doing this? How is your? You have to hold your breath the whole time. No, you should be doing it. Is that too much weight? Do you feel under control?
Yeah.
Do you feel calm and focused while you're doing this? I mean, yeah, it's hard. Like, yes, it should be hard.
Yeah.
It should be stimulating enough for change.
Yeah.
But those are your saviors. Those are the things that will always keep you.
Yeah, and with weightlifting is perfect, right? Like, people always judge based off, like, if that's a big weight, that's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
If that's a light weight, if it's a small weight, it's light. No. If you go in and you're doing 10 repetitions, and you go until you can do 10 with perfect form, and you could maybe have done only 2 more. So we'll say that, so that means you did 10 reps at a 12 rep max, and you did 30 pounds, right? That is the same as if someone happened to be able to do 10 reps with a 12 rep max at 80 pounds. Both of those are relatively heavy. They're the same, but
they're the same intensity.
But then
for
the problem
people.
is, someone who maybe could do the 80 for 10, but you say, hey, do 10 reps. They think I'm gonna go light. I'm gonna do that's higher reps. I'm gonna use a lighter weight, and then they'll go grab the 40s and do 10. But the reality is,
nothing out of
you're so far away, you know. And same thing, people will feel daunted. They'll be like, I can't. We'll say do a heavy set of 10, which means pushing close to failure at 10. They think that heavy has to mean 90 pounds.
Yeah, and they will look at somebody else and be like, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not asking
Yeah.
you to do that. I'm
Yeah.
asking you to do a weight that's heavy for you.
Yeah.
That's all that we're after. And
Yeah.
I think
and
that
same thing
overwhelms
with
people.
running, right? Go run a fast mile. What's fast? Like, you know.
Yeah, just somebody's like, oh, I could never run a 5-minute mile.
Say we want you to push 90% of your max pace. It's going to be 2 different speeds for 2 different people.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get caught up on what, you know, it is,
Anybody else is doing.
then you may go and try to run at 100%, and now you're hurting your training because it's training, not competing.
Right.
And,
That's another reminder.
And you keep
Remember what you're
burning out
doing.
because you're always going 100% because you're not training at the right intensities, right? Same thing. If we tell someone to do 8 to 12 reps, pushing, you know, close to failure, and you grab a weight and do 2 reps, that's not.
You missed the mark.
You missed the point. Like,
Yeah.
that was too intense. That was, you know, you're pushing too close to this 100% max intensity, and that's how you can get hurt. That's how, you know. So, yeah, it's all relative. It's all relative.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's cool too. Just like, yeah, as far as like measuring it to yourself, and keeping somebody else's life out of your decision making when you are taking care of yourself that way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everything's relative.
Yeah.
Your nutrition, your training,
Yep.
your life.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is, you know, according to you. And that's what we need to remind ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you go throw a frisbee,
Don't try to throw 500 feet.
No.
Don't try. Don't
when you
walk up
when you
to
feel
that.
defeated because you see Ben throw a frisbee into a basket around a tree 400 yards away, and you can't even throw a frisbee to your friend at the beach. Hey, you know what?
Start.
Hey, you throw that frisbee and it hits your friend 10 feet away. You are just as accurate as Ben.
You sure are, and you have a
Lengel.
happy friend who caught it too.
Yeah.
That's right. It's true.
It's all relative. All right, I think that's all we got.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can wrap
Cool.
it
We
up.
checked in with Ben,
Yeah. Thanks
Just
for having me
training.
on.
He'll,
That
he'll be back.
learn
That's-
some
It
NKT,
was good to
Some
jump
life,
in this.
some life lessons with Ben.
some life lessons.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. That was good. That was a good time.
You've been on that. I heard y'all finally got on that crock pot game.
Oh yeah, crockpot chicken. That's my
Yeah.
man. I'll tell you what.
Hey, you know what I
I'll
made?
tell
You know what I made recently? You got to get on.
What's that?
Don't listen to him, man. He eats canned potatoes.
Nah, the crock pot, the pork butt or the pork loin.
Okay, yeah, I give you that. I give you
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're not
They're
on that
still
pork
both pretty
game yet, but
lean, and
Yeah.
I don't know, man. The pork just hits different,
Did you do you do like an already like marinated or seasoned, or you just pop it in there?
bruh. Who are you talking to?
That's true. Yeah, he probably
You know,
just
I did. I made one last night.
he didn't even season
I
it.
put
No.
the loin in the crock pot. I put half a cup of water, and I put the lid on.
yeah. Yeah. That's more of my. That's more of my
Sometimes when you
style,
talk about
too,
food,
but-
it makes me cry a little bit. Just
You know
to-
what? I'm popping up to those tournaments though with my chicken and rice bowl. If somebody asks me, they're like, "Is that pasta?" I'm like, No, it's not pasta. Like that's gonna wear it down.
Pasta's heavy. You'll be like Michael Scott running that marathon.
You eat that chicken and rice, you don't get full.
But and the thing is, there's no reason I do that. I just prefer more plain stuff, and I like to say the flavor of like the beef or the pork. So and sometimes I do like to use sauces and spice stuff afterwards. But then to me, it changes. It tastes like whatever that seasoning is.
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's like the whole point.
Yeah.
But then it's
like chicken doesn't taste like anything.
Right.
And that's why you add seasoning to it.
I'll say this, I very
pork's
rarely
right.
eat chicken. Actually, I never eat chicken by itself.
Yeah.
Beef, I prefer the flavor of beef versus
I
anything
do like the
could add
flavor
to
of beef.
it.
Yeah.
Pork, I can to me, it has enough unique flavor. But I do like, and maybe this is just more because then I feel like I do like, it's a classic combination, right? So I'll do the crock pot pork, shred it up.
Some barbecue
I do like
sauce.
to hit it with a little barbecue sauce.
Well, it's just such a perfect combo. Like beef, though, a little salt, I could be happy.
Yeah.
That's it. Just enough salt on there.
yeah.
I'm good.
Salt, yeah.
So hit that if you want to switch it up.
Well, okay, what were you doing
that's
before
good.
the crock pot?
Dude, they would boil it.
What the
Yeah, just boiling chicken, salt, and pepper. And
All
just,
these
like,
years?
And the problem with that's
Some
the
baking,
mess, man.
But yeah.
And then you got to watch it.
True. No, that is the nice part about the crock pot.
You didn't just want to put it in the oven.
I've done that too. That wasn't bad.
You guys are both the laziest cooks I've ever met in my life. Which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm still gonna give both of them shit for it.
And well deserved. It's like it's the only way to be for us to be successful.
And you know what I learned lately? Like I would never eat veggies simply. And it's funny what you'll rationalize. Like I'll spend time to cook, but like because they were just too annoying to cook. But now I just do those steamable bags.
Those are hands down the best
and I eat
thing
plenty of veggies. Dude,
ever. Which one? What are you on now?
I'll even put. Say you had to rank your top 10 foods individually. So we're not even
okay.
meals, right?
Just by themselves.
By themselves. So if you're like top 10 list.
Where are
of
those
foods,
canned potatoes?
Normally, no. Dude, the steamed Brussels sprouts.
You know, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if I've ever had them steamed before.
Steamed.
I usually roast them in the oven.
Well, the steamable bag.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think I've had that.
Are like they're so good.
Are they small or are they like pretty
They're
big?
small.
Are they?
Small.
Okay.
But they're climbing up my list, man. To where like normally veggies, it's like I'll eat it. It's there. I'm supposed to. But like I'm eating them. I'm like,
I feel
looking forward to the next bite.
They can almost be like
vegetable. You're looking forward to a vegetable.
They can almost be kind of buttery. Like it's weird.
I don't know. I mean, I do like that kind of like. I mean, they're like little baby cabbages.
You like lima beans?
So, that cabbage, like, what is that? Like, it's not umami. What is that, like, cabbagey?
Just cabbagey, bro.
That's it.
It's just gassy.
But yeah, dude, they're good, man. So I get to rotate between the broccoli, the spinach, but they're normally out, and the Brussels sprouts. Honestly, spinach, to me, like, basically ruins anything that is wet.
I agree with that. Yeah,
but I'll eat it because I'm like, it's nutrient dense, and I'll rotate it through. But I never look forward to it.
Yeah.
Julia told me one time that spinach was I was like, if I had to eat just one veggie, Julia, nutrition coach, she said eat spinach.
Yeah, and if I had to pick one, when you look at its nutrition, that's the one.
I think spinach, like you just try your best to hide it.
Yeah.
In the food that you're eating, like how do I make this the least apparent?
And that's where it can go good with like beef and rice. Because then it thins it out, It can kind of get into shredded little pieces.
Well, and like the beef is like good, powerful flavor. So like you're gonna.
But when you have like
small texture change.
Some chicken and like potato and then like a pile of spinach.
Nah, you just like get it down as quick as you can, and then eat the good stuff after.
You hit it with some salt. It's a little better.
Yeah,
dude. Without salt, it's just.
Oh no, it's bad. It's like you're eating like your wet lawn.
Yeah, but then broccoli.
Broccoli's it's solid. I like broccoli.
It's like broccoli I can do, especially if it's cooked enough. But then the Brussels sprouts, I'm like literally, I could go.
Do you eat them by themselves or do you mix them in with your food?
It just depends on what I'm eating.
Okay.
I'm fine both ways.
Okay.
So say it's like a pile of pulled pork and then like a potato, then a pile of Brussels sprouts. I'm fine.
You're cool just smashing those.
And they're kind of weird, so it doesn't even work. Say it's beef and rice.
Yeah, they don't really. You're just still eating a Brussels sprout that's mixed in.
Talking about, I still kind of will pile the Brussels sprouts to the side, so they don't really mix.
Something like broccoli, you can mix a little better.
Yeah, broccoli, I love to mash and mix with like beef and rice. But.
You guys on that asparagus train at all?
Yeah.
You know why I don't
actually do steamer bags of asparagus.
Yeah. I really like the asparagus.
You know why I don't do asparagus
because your pea
more?
smells.
I would do the asparagus almost as a staple. but the steamable bags of Brussels sprouts and broccoli and spinach
They're cheaper.
are $1. The steamable bags of the asparagus is $2.50.
Whoa.
I'm like,
Dude, like,
and
so-
you only get like,
No, see,
you get less.
What you get is a surprise at the end, right? When it when you're up in the middle of the night.
yeah,
and you
they
just
say
feel
that's
you're like,
genetic though. They say
Yeah,
not-
some
not-
people it doesn't
not
happen to.
everyone.
Are you serious?
It happens to me, and it clearly happens to you.
Oh yeah, no, that's
Because you forget, and you're like,
Yeah.
is something wrong?
no, that's exactly it. And I kind of it's like when you set your clock ahead a little bit and you get that little surprise. That's what peanut with
Yeah.
asparagus
Yeah.
is like for me. I'm like,
Yeah, because you
oh.
forget you eat it earlier in the day, and then at night you're like,
Something's
"Damn,
up."
something's wrong.
Oh yeah,
But
that's
now
right.
you're eating veggies. You're
Yeah,
eating
I'm
some
trying. No,
things?
literally,
You're
it's
mixing it
trying
in?
same deal. Like
Yeah.
just you find a few good ones, and then hopefully keeps in the rotation.
We have
Like,
a couple
the-
things that we rotate through
the-
that help.
And the wife does a good job of like. So the emphasis is like, it's my job to make sure we got enough protein. It's her job to end up getting enough veggies. So if we both focus on both those things as
Yeah,
a
good system.
household, we do pretty good. Yeah, like
You-
that's.
You know what I'm on the verge of? You pull up my Amazon right now. You look in the cart. See the,
do you save up a bunch of stuff in the cart?
Yeah.
Man, it's just like, that's awesome.
you get that hit putting it in the cart, and then
Yeah.
you're like, let me wait 2 weeks and see if I still want this.
Oh yeah.
That Ninja ice cream.
I already knew you were going to say that.
Oh wow.
I already
all right.
knew.
All right.
Oh,
I already knew.
it's pulling me in, man.
Is Alexis encouraging you
Yeah.
to get it?
Is she? Oh, that
But to be
that's
fair,
helpful.
she's type 1 diabetic, so
Yeah.
it's just easier
To have a treat.
to have some of those like versions that you can have a
Yeah.
little more control over.
Oh,
Dude, that's
nice.
like all I see on the gram is like
Yeah.
my Ninja Creamy. I
Yeah.
made this.
And even Diego gave it the thumb. He said it looks and heard like it's legit.
Really?
Gonna put him out of business.
Yeah.
It's
No.
not.
But it's
not.
just it's like another thing, right? It just makes ice cream. And
Well,
well,
that's-
it does milkshakes and like smoothie bowls.
Whitney was talking about it. I was like, do we need one more appliance
Another
that literally
appliance.
does
But
one
you know
thing
what?
that we're not
My-
going to use?
God.
My air fryer broke and we never got a new one, so we don't have one. So
How's
I'm like,
that been?
without the air fryer. Yeah, dude. The way we live, it's like
You just adapt
like
to
a
it.
light will go out,
Yeah.
and it's like, guess this is our life now.
I guess we're
yeah,
not. I guess we're
I
not.
like that.
We're living in the
And we
dark.
adapt without that light bulb, you know.
Yep.
So
Jesus.
yeah, I started using the oven more, or like
Sweet.
you just so. I don't know, but I'm like, okay, well, if we use it every weekend, like make something a little concoction, I can.
Yeah, I've seen people put like protein drinks in them, and I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I
That's the one I
there's
just
some
saw.
where like the core, the ones that are made with Fairlife, that are like
Yeah.
42 grams of protein.
Yeah.
I would probably try that.
Yeah,
I'd
I mean,
give it a go.
especially if you're dieting. I mean, I get a whole pint of something for 200 calories.
And if the flavor's decent, like
Yeah.
I'm sure the consistency's going to be okay. Like
Yeah. Oh, I think that's the thing. It makes the consistency.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Pretty legit. And think, but the benefit over like when you get the light stuff at the stores, they got to have all these stabilizers and gums because of the shelf life.
Yeah.
Whereas you can make the stuff and you're gonna eat it pretty soon, and you don't need all.
Yeah, it doesn't
that.
have to stay for
so
a while.
It's probably better.
Yeah. Well, if you get one, let us know.
But you know what will happen? I'll end up, just because I'm curious and like a traditionalist, and I'll want to make like a solid, real ice cream that's just like
Taste test.
vanilla, bean,
Yep.
whole milk, egg yolks. I'll make something like that, and it's gonna be.
And then you're gonna stick with only that.
Yeah, it's gonna be. So,
you're never gonna
it's
use
be
it for
so
anything
good.
else.
It's gonna be
Awesome.
So that's probably what will happen, and then Alexis will make the little like
The fun stuff?
the proteins and the lighter.
She
stuff.
does the stuff with cottage cheese, right?
She's done, yeah, and actually she's just done it as like in the blender, like that base. And
Mm-hmm.
I had it. It was like the cottage cheese was frozen strawberries, and then she got these like cinnamon. What are they like? Graham cracker type bears.
Mm-hmm.
But now that one brand makes them. What's that brand that has like higher protein and they make like
Quest?
No, it's like pancake mix and stuff.
Oh, Kodiak.
Kodiak. They
Yeah.
got little Teddy Grahams now.
Do they?
Yeah.
Little,
Oh, wow.
little protein
gosh.
teddies.
She made that
Oh,
and,
dang.
and like blended it up and froze it, and it was
Well, I could see
pretty
like
good.
because really for me the only problem with cottage cheese is the consistency.
Yeah,
Just-
you wouldn't even know.
yeah, but if you blend it
fan.
up and smooth it out, like
But and then
Yeah.
you factor in, then you get the Ninja ice cream maker. It's gonna take it to an even
Yeah.
better level. So yeah, I'll probably end up
just
doing
do it, man.
Just wait another
Just,
week.
just make your
Another
wife
week.
happy.
Yeah.
Just give her some treats.
Yeah. So
You secretly want it for yourself, but it's okay.
Oh yeah, I mean Saturday. I mean I'm more like that. I enjoy my food. So, but it's nice to like Saturday to know. Oh, I got a little
A little
experiment.
treat?
You know.
Yeah.
How long does it take to make?
I think a lot of them you
The
probably
ice cream.
would want to like freeze it overnight.
Okay, I
sometimes,
wasn't
but
sure
I think
like what the
4
process
hours
was
is
like.
normally.
Okay.
Okay.
It depends on what you're doing. So it also does do like these like smoothie bowls that look pretty good. To
Does
where
it?
if you're doing like Greek yogurt with some fruit,
Blend
you could
it up.
probably get in the habit, where you hit it up with that, and it's probably, you know.
And then I'm sure like consistency is probably a little better too,
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
that. Which why not?
And then I'm a big milkshake guy too, and it's
That
supposed-
is, you do like milkshakes.
So like you give me 16 ounces of milk and 2 scoops of ice cream and whip that puppy up
It's a good dessert.
to where when you you get that straw in there, you gotta
you
like
can barely, you
work
gotta
at
work
it.
for that,
Yeah.
man.
What the cheek? You didn't know you had cheek muscles until you're just like, oh my god, what is that?
Oh god.
That's awesome.
Hey, throw some Brussels sprouts in there.
Hey, stop. Spinach. I get my spinach in my milkshake. That's all.
Jesus Christ.
That's blended in there.
Roll up the Ravens.
And I'm gonna
man.
call Ben over for a pork shoulder and Brussels sprout smoothie.
Oh, no.
yeah. Let's
We
try
just
this
lost
out.
everybody.
Yeah. They're gone.
Collectively, everyone's gone.
About 5 minutes ago.
All right, that's all we got.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
We're the worst at wrapping it up. That's okay.
All right.
No, that's all right.
Yeah, thanks for listening,
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
We'll be back. We're gonna start a little more longer form like this, just letting y'all clients get to
Coaches, clients.
hear the coaches' stories of other members, and
Now you know me.
yeah.
Yeah, now you know Ben intimately.
All right, we appreciate you for listening.
All right, catch you next time.
Bye bye.
As always, thanks for listening, guys. If you want to learn more, check us out at coastalfitnessva.com or GaryDeagle.com. We'll see you next time.